How's it going, guys and gals of the DC Squad? Today we're going to be having a quick look at the Beast Kingdom Batman from the Batman v Superman movie. This is going to be one of the more faster, quicker formats in comparison to what I usually do on this channel, so let's just jump into it. We got the front of the box here with the figure displayed, all the accessories, hands, we got the grapnel gun. This is very cool packaging, and really, the packaging shines the most when you turn this baby around. In my opinion, this is the coolest package art I've seen on any of the DC figures anywhere that anyone is offering, because these things right here, you could totally have these blown up as a poster. And we got the top of the box right here, very simple. Side of the box, DAH-001, that's Batman because he's the first figure, and then again there. So now, let's just open it up. Slice-a-roo, hocus pocus, alamogocus. Ooh, and there's what you get. And also this. This product is recommended for age 14 and above. Well, of course, it's an adult collectible. You'd never give this to a child because everything would be all over the place. It'd be a mess. Like that. Anything else in there? So in the package, you receive precisely a grapple gun, one of Batman's most well-known accessories, an FN MK13 grenade launcher, a grappling hook, and a grappling line that can be placed in the end of the gun, with the grappling hook placed in the other end, so that Batman's ready to go swinging all over Gotham. He also comes with 2 open hands, 2 closed circle game hands, made you look, and 1 singular hand for grabbing the MK13 and also the grapple gun. He also comes with 3 little metal batarangs and a nifty looking action figure base that also has an arm that you can then pop in like that, and then you have an action figure base with an arm. And here's one more shot of everything that you get aside from the base. That's a pretty good haul. And then, of course, we get the Batman. And, you know, I think that his likeness is actually pretty good to the Ben Affleck Batman in Dawn of Justice. And truthfully, the Dawn of Justice Batman suit is my favorite Batman suit. Didn't really care for the tactical suit, and the updated version that they had in the beginning of Justice League was good, but just not as good as this one, in my opinion. So before we really get into things, let's just have a closer look at him from head to toe. So starting at the top, when I look at this head sculpt, I do see Ben Affleck in this head sculpt. It's one of the better ones if you ask me. The only thing I can really say that I don't like about this head sculpt is that for a guy who almost never sees sunshine, his skin is incredibly tanned. In my opinion, it would have been better just to give Batman a slightly lighter skin tone on the exposed part of his face. Now for the overall look and appearance of the figure, I'm going to break it down to sculpt, the paint apps, and then how the body actually looks as it's been put together. Yeah, Beast Kingdom did a good job of capturing the look, the overall look of the fabric and his suit, just what it looks like. It looks like it jumped out of the movie. And that's something that I'm very, very pleased about. The texture of his boots like that. I mean, everything looks really, really good that way. No complaints there. And even the cape itself, the cape is like, it's textured. It actually looks like the leather cape he wears. And it's been detailed. I'm not sure if it's going to show up in the video or not because of the lighting, but the bottom of the cape has actually been painted kind of like it's dirty. You can see it more on the inside. There you go. The light captures it right there. So, I mean, it looks cool. The overall aesthetic, the look of this figure as far as the sculpt goes, and the paint apps, because there's not a whole lot of sloppy paint on this figure that I can see. So it's painted clean and it's sculpted well. So it gets top marks in that regard as far as I'm concerned. Where this figure kind of drops the ball a little bit is how it fits together. The mechanisms by which they've joined it. I get it. You've got ball joints in the shoulders there, which are going to, oh, well, there you go. You can really see that it's a ball joint. That popped out really easy, BTW. It's cool that they're ball joints, but what you see with these companies is frequently the shoulder joints are not hidden very well. And if you have the shoulders right up, it doesn't show up as well. But as soon as you pose him funny, you know, they can look funny. And we'll cover that with the articulation. So that's, okay, the main thing that I don't like, I can deal with this. I don't mind seeing the hinges in the elbows like that. Some people that drives them nuts. I'm okay with that. It is a bit gappy and loose in some areas, but I'm even okay with that. Where I take issue with how this figure fits together is, one, the belt is not connected in any way. It's floating, and I'm going to have to rectify that situation so it's at least connected at the back to the body, maybe right here or something like that, so that it doesn't just move every time you ding it when you're going to take a photo. But it's the groin. Again, lots of articulation in the groin, but as you can see, those articulation points, if he's not just standing in a neutral pose, I mean, they're noticeable. They're really, really noticeable. And that's the only thing I really don't like about the aesthetic of this figure is the groin. And maybe it's just me, it's a personal thing, but I mean, other than that, again, I love the look, I love how accurate it is, I like the head sculpt, so this figure does get very, very high marks as far as I'm concerned with how it looks. Now let's have a look at the articulation. Okay, so articulation for this guy, he's going to have that head, and it's on a ball joint, as you can see here. Oh, the neck piece of his cowl came off, but there you go. So, ball jointed articulation. That's actually a pretty long peg. Moving on to everywhere else, the shoulders are on hinged ball joints, and you can pop these out for a second and just have a little look. And I want to point out that these ball joints actually come out really, really easy. So, you know, if you're messing with him and stuff like that, just be warned, these do pop out. Okay, so it's after the fact. I want to add a short addendum to the articulation point of this video. It's something that I actually missed, and it's got the ball joint and the hinge, as you can see, except for that. I'm not sure if you can see it. See how it's going in and out there on the inside? Yeah. So there's in and out movement as well, but in the end, it doesn't really do a whole lot more. Like here it is with it in, here it is with it out. So that's how far up it goes with it. Hey, pull it out. That's it. It doesn't really do a whole lot more to help the articulation as far as I'm concerned. And in the end, it just makes the articulation look more ugly. Okay, now let's get back to the rest of the video. You got your biceps and they're on swivel. Oh, these are stuck. Yep. I'm not even going to bother trying to properly swivel these biceps until I have warm water because I really don't want to wreck the plastic because then this figure's trash. You got double jointed elbows. You've got your wrists, which are on double jointed ball pegs. There's a ball peg in and a ball peg that goes in the hand. All right. Then you got a ball joint in the chest, and it's largely useless. You got the ball joint, you can see it there, but it doesn't add to his range of motion that much. It's pretty useless. The waist does have a ball joint as well, and there's a lot of articulation in the waist, so that's, I guess, a good thing. Then you got right here ball jointed groin, as you can see. Pop that back on. Bop. Like that. And, you know, they've got an okay range of movement. The problem with these kind of groins is unless you use the actual drop hinge to move his leg forward, right, it completely gets in the way. I actually would prefer a slightly better kind of ball jointed groin articulation, maybe more akin to what the DC Essentials is doing, and that's okay for me as far as the groins go. Then you've also got a thigh cut up here, swivelly cut. You've got double jointed knees, and they're actually hidden quite well too in the sculpt. I'm happy with how they're hidden. You've got toe articulation right here, and then you've also got articulation in the foot by way of two ball joints again. So this figure relies heavily on the ball jointed articulation system. Now, where I take issue, as you've seen also, is where these hide themselves with the body, or rather how they don't. Like, if you just have him standing there in a neutral pose, then, I mean, it's not as bad. But the problem is, I don't think that these particular ball joints help with the articulation that much. I mean, they do some, but I honestly would have been happy with basically a simple hinge swivel with this, rather than having the extra ball joint right here. This just seems kind of... it doesn't add to it, that's all. I had the most fun actually posing this Batman around out of all the Batman figures that I've worked with lately, and he has a lot of the same kind of articulation. I just feel like it's done better with this Batman in comparison to this one. While we're at it, why don't we see about changing this guy's cape, like right now, like in the video. Alright, so let's try this cape that's kind of matte on the inside and leathery on the outside. And pop the head off, there's the neck piece, let's get this cape off the figure right there. Oh, it's glued on. I'm doing it. I'm popping it off. All right, cape has been fit over. Let's take that head and pop it back in. Wow, I gotta say, that does look better than this big clunky plastic cape. I think I'll probably do the same thing for Superman. I imagine posing this guy around in this big plastic cape totally getting in the way. Okay, so for size and scale, I've got him with the height-adjusted SH Figuarts Batman from Justice League, and then I've also got him with the Mapleridge Batman from Justice League. You can see that he's much taller, much taller. I mean, he is an 8-inch action figure, which is what holds a lot of people back from getting him, is that his scale is so much bigger than, like, anything else most of us collect. Well, on the right, we have the ever-popular and expensive Mezco Dawn of Justice Batman figure, and then also the Mattel version, only I swapped the heads with the SH Figuarts. Yeah, I'm like that. I didn't like the one that came with them, and I think that the SH Figuarts fits on there better. So anyway, that's the size and scale you're going to get. He's absolutely bigger than every other Ben Affleck Batman figure. So I suppose now that we've gone over all of the basics with this figure, packaging, articulation, sculpt, paint apps, everything, I think I'll just give my final opinion, but in the end it's going to be up to you what you feel about this figure after watching this video, and hopefully more than just mine. It'll be up to you to decide what you think about him. So for one, I want to talk about the things that I like about him. I like the sculpt. I like the texture that they've put all over this figure. I think that looks good. The gloves to me and the boots actually look like they're made out of a leather, which is nice. I get that real, genuine Batman Ben Affleck feel from the basic look of this figure, between color choices and sculpting, and even the how he scales in with himself. The head doesn't look too big, the body doesn't look too long. So in that regard, I like these. I think that they're a knockout of the park that way. But the overall aesthetic is interrupted by the weird looking shoulder joints, depending on which angle you have him looking at it and how he's posed, and then the groin joint as well. I know that some people really don't like the groin when it looks that way, and for me, for this figure in general, yeah, it does kind of ruin the overall aesthetic for me. I don't like the fact that the wrists are double ball jointed and there's a large space in the wrists there when you change the hands. I would prefer that to be a little bit tighter. And then also, as far as the cape goes, as you can see, this cape, I mean, it didn't even last the whole video. I had to take it off and replace it with the cloth one, because as much as it looks good and the texturing looks fine, and maybe you'll love it, I just feel like it was so big and bulky that it was just going to get in the way of posing and everything that I want to do with this figure. But overall, the paint apps are clean. It has enough articulation to make someone like me happy. Yes, the groin, in my opinion, could be handled a little bit better. And definitely the chest has the most useless articulation point ever in the history of articulation points, because it doesn't really do anything. They could have kept this torso as one piece and it would have worked out just pretty much the same. And you've got the little articulation points that are noticeable here in the shoulder with the pegs. You can see them. And some people absolutely hate that. I think with this figure, yeah, it does kind of look ugly. So this figure for me is probably about a 75 out of 100, docking marks for the articulation not working here, being kind of ugly there, and just a little bit of paint slop on the boots. There are things that I have to take marks off of, but a 75 out of 100 is pretty good. So I do give this figure very high marks, and if you're a fan of the Affleck Batman, you're probably going to want to pick him up. Even if you have a look at him and decide, not my thing, and then you resell him, I would give this figure a chance, because it still is pretty darn good for what it is. Anyway, that's the end of my video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please leave a like on it. Leave any comments you have down below. If you think you'd like to become a super friend and join the DC squad, hit the subscribe button. Remember to ding the notification bell if you so desire. And I will see you in the next one. Have an awesome day, super friends. Take care.